Hello and welcome to Sparking Life. Whether you are planning to buy a real estate property or you already own one and thinking what to do of it, real estate decisions are one of the most prominent ones that a person makes in his or her life, proving it clearly that how prominent it could be. And of course, having a roof over your head really means a lot to many. There also might be situations when you have to analyze a real estate property, its general value plus overall importance, and making any decision regarding it becomes very critical. So let's get into the world of real estate and grab some basics about how do you value a real estate in 7 easy steps. But before we get any further, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so that you don't miss another update from us. Number 1. Compare with similar properties and in the similar locality. When it comes to purchasing a real estate property, you need to be very cautious about the current market rents in that place and the overall market value for the property in which you are interested in. And the best way you don't steer off track is by doing simple and fair comparison. Well, we believe that most people do this simple activity first whenever they go out to buy anything out in the market. You compare the property you want to buy or sell, especially when you're on selling property. It's mostly considered that you chase the benchmark of your property a little higher. This way you would safeguard yourself from any depreciation during the bargain or compensation. When you compare any property, you need to check an overall track record of the locality for at least in the past 5 years so that you can understand how the value of the property have gone up or down. For example, if you're planning to buy a property in the metropolitan city like in the NYC or LA, you would have to realize that the market price of the real estate properties have been going down, especially during the pandemic period. However, if you have to rent out these properties, there would be no better time like these, that probably because of high monthly rent and of course due to dramatic hype of these cities. But the point of safeguard here is that when you finally decide to sell it off, if you had to in the future, you might be facing some straight depreciation in the property values. Keeping track of such things would really help you out. When it counts down on comparison, you would also want to compare with a similar property that was sold a few months before. Finding a property like that would really give you a better picture about the overall situation of the neighborhood in particular. Number 2. Mark up the positives and the negatives with the compared properties. Now once you're done with an overall comparison, you need to understand that how do you actually mark up the pros and cons. Doing this is essential because it gives you a rough idea of what the true value of your real estate is. Marking off the pros and cons, or the differences as you call them, would be actually about the smaller and big upgrades in and outside the real estate property. For example, a house with a larger lawn and upgraded kitchen interiors would eventually boil down in the hype of the value. However, if you find a real estate property with modest internal features, it would be fair enough for it to have a probable low overall selling price. Number 3. If you're buying in just for the sake of investment. So now let's get this straight at you. If you happen to find yourself buying a real estate property just for the sake of investment, you need to know that if your investment is worth it or not. So how do you do that? If you're planning to buy a real estate property and planning to rent it out, the first thing you need to figure out is that how much rent are you expecting on an annual basis. So how do you do that? Well, it's simple. You speak to some local real estate agent and figure out the rent you could possibly earn on the property. The second thing you do is to deduct maintenance costs and taxes. Once you're done with that, you're with the figure that goes into your pocket passively. This figure is also known as the net operating income, NOI. The second thing you need to know is the capitalization rate of the property in that particular area. An annual capitalization rate of somewhere around 4 to 7% is considered to be a fair one. Number 4. Cost of building it from scratch. This is a little complex one, but worth it for someone who is into real estate for a long haul. So how do you work on it? For example, if there was a house that disappeared overnight, how much would it cost to build up the property again? At first, you start by knowing the value of the land under the building. Then you would have to calculate how much it would cost you to build it all over, including the cost of labor and material. If you come up with a much lower value, it is better you do much of the work by yourself and save that extra money. Number 5. Ask a real estate agent. If you find yourself stuck up with the overall process and calculations, the best way to deal is to speak to a real estate agent. However, be a little skeptical about the realtors because they're mostly in there to make their margins and at times might even scam you. When you're selling, there are a high chances that most of them would inflate the value of your property and would try to keep away the small margin and leaving you behind with a loss. Not all real estate agents are like that, and hence you need to be careful before you make any contacts with a real estate agent. Number 6. Ask a real estate appraisal. Most real estate appraisals are the best people on earth for you to talk down about your real estate property. Well, that's all because they're highly trained and have proper experience. However, you would have to pay them, but still trust us, it is absolutely worth it when you are to invest in all that into a key property like that. These people are accurate enough and are able to make sure what's right and what's wrong with a property. They also have a strong database and can easily catch up with the hidden problems. Well, that's because they're really trained for it and are easily able to tell what is up with the property. Number 7. Check up with the market. Checking up with the market is really essential. Not doing so would result you in losing a lot of time. For example, when you list out a property and you have no one coming in, it is probably that you have listed it for a reasonably very high value and you need to bring it down a little. But on the other hand, if you find it vice versa, which is a lot of applications coming in, would eventually mean that your property is valued way too less than it actually is and you need to increase it and manage the property a little bit more well. Found this video helpful? Be sure to like, share and subscribe to our channel to keep having a bigger picture about the world around you.